Welcome to another session. Stop boosting your immune system and do this instead. So, in today's session, I'll be sharing with you 10 ways that you can support your immune function, your immune health, and reduce your autoimmune disease symptoms. This is going to help you even if you are, have even if you have any other chronic illness. But I'm going to sort of differentiate between what we traditionally talk about as immune boosting and what actually we need to do instead, which is supporting immune function at a cellular level, right? So, and more importantly, I'm going to share with you 10 ways that you can do that, right? So, practical steps. So, stay on till the end of this session so that you know how to, what steps you can take. You don't, of course, need to do all the 10 steps today, but you can start with it. And if you like what I have to say, make sure that you sign up for a very comprehensive and carefully curated guide. It's called Autoimmune Disease 101. I have selected these blog posts, these podcasts, and books on autoimmune disease with a functional medicine lens, which is basically about root cause approach, which is as a more of a holistic approach towards dealing with an autoimmune condition and with other chronic illnesses as well. So I'll be sharing the link. If you're watching it on IGTV, then the link is in my bio, and otherwise I'll be sharing the link below as well. If you are listening to this on a private audio feed, you can head to my Facebook page, Nourish Heal Connect, right? You will get the link there. So let's get going. Simply by boosting your immune system, by taking just supplements and maybe doing a few random things, it's not really helpful. In the last couple of years, we have actually probably, even if you had not before, you would have probably figured out how important your immune health is, right? In the face of the pandemic that we have faced, your immune function you realize the importance of having a good robust immunity. And by that I don't mean only a very very strong immune function, but I also mean that the ability to tolerate certain things, which is called immune tolerance. And I'm going to talk about that because today what we're dealing with is actually a loss of immune tolerance. And the other thing is, of course, resiliency. And now today, I'm also going to be adding in at the cellular level, what you need to focus on and why, right? So, boosting the action of unhealthy and damaged cells, which is typically what we would be doing, we have been told to do, is not really helpful, right? And in a modern lifestyle, we're dealing with multiple stressors, whether it's physiological stressors, whether it's psychological stressors. So, and I'm talking about the toxins, nutrient poor diets, the chronic stress that all of us are dealing with. So, all of these are stressors for our immune system, for our body as a whole, right? And it's really making it difficult for our body, for our immune health to function optimally and to show immune tolerance, right? So either you have a lot of times an underreactive immune system where you are prone to all kinds of colds and infections. You're the first person to catch a cold that comes around, or you have an overreactive immune system, which is typically the case in diseases like allergies, asthma, eczema, and of course autoimmune diseases, so where there is actually a loss of tolerance and your immune system is not appropriately tolerant, it is neither balanced nor appropriately tolerant, and that's a huge problem. Which is why I'm more than immune boosting, I'm talking about immune rejuvenation, and I'm going to be talking at a cellular level. So all the steps that I'm going to take you through, all the 10 ways that you can support your immune function, is going to help at a very very granular level, at the at for each and every cell of your body. And so there are a lot of challenges, as I was mentioning, there are a lot of challenges, and it's skewing our immune function, right? So that's why I said that it's either we have an underreactive or we have an overreactive, or we sort of keep flipping between both, and that's not really helpful, and a lot of us are dealing with that. And that actually, when you have a cold, when you have any kind of infection, all the symptoms that you deal with, that's actually brought about by your immune system. It's your body's respond to that threat. So if you have an immune system, you of course need a robust immune system so to combat that threat, but you also do not, you want that response to stop when the threat is over, which typically does not happen in the case of autoimmune diseases. So we don't want that to happen either. So which is why the focus is so much on rejuvenation, on making sure that you have healthy cells, immune cells, which can respond appropriately to any kind of threat. And the way that you can support cellular rejuvenation, so with the way that you can do that is what I'm going to share with you in a bit. But before that, what you need to understand is that your body and is performing deep spring cleaning all the time, right? To just make it simple, so each and every cell of your body is doing a kind of a deep spring cleaning. It's think of it as a house, as your house. You have to constantly make sure that whatever is damaged, whatever you don't need anymore, you are removing it from your house, so that you don't take up unnecessary space, or maybe harm someone. If there is a chair which is broken and somebody sits on it accidentally, which actually is, by the way, what happened in my house once. So you have to figure out what is constantly, what you will be constantly surveilling and figuring out what is damaged, what is unhealthy in your body and the cells. And your body does it every single day without you even realizing it, right? It's one of the functions. And this is called autophagy. It happens in each and every part of our body. It particularly happens in our mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, which is the battery of the cell. It gets worn out by its the energy production that happens, and that parts of it also gets repaired and renewed. And so this keeps on happening. It's like your body cleaning the house, and it eliminates dysfunctional and damaged cells, right? So that's constantly happening. But what happens is that as we accumulate toxins, as we deal with chronic inflammation, which comes with um, an immune response. Chronic inflammation also comes with having poor nutrient poor foods, high refined carbohydrates, right? So many reasons that toxin accumulation, toxin exposure, all of these lead to higher levels of chronic inflammation. Inflammation is not the problem, actually. Chronic inflammation is. So all these things lead to dysfunctional damaged cell, and this pace accelerates as we grow older. In fact, this is the way that we grow older. This is how our skin gets wrinkled. This is how we lose energy production, where because our mitochondria keeps getting damaged as we grow older. In fact, it's called inflammaging also. So what you need to, even as you keep growing older, there are ways that you can reduce your biological age by taking care of each and every cell, and by your immune function, which is what we are going to sort of be talking about today. So given this background of why you need to not superficially focus on boosting your immune system by maybe some random zinc and vitamin D supplementation, but there are these fundamental ways that you can actually rejuvenate your cells. Make sure that your cells in your liver, intestine, or heart, this is where autophagy takes place quite a bit. It happens at a very healthy pace. And and you can understand when you have a robust immune function, you have optimal health. And as a result, as the immune system starts calming down, as your inflammation starts going down, you automatically have less pain levels, you have more less exhaustion, more energy levels. This is particularly in the case of autoimmune diseases, right? So whether the disease has been completely reversed or not, you start feeling much better. You start feeling the energy, you start getting your life back on track. And this is what I help my coaching clients to do in the coaching program that I do with, where I work with them for 6 months. It doesn't happen overnight, of course, but you start seeing the results literally from day one as you start incorporating these changes. So I'm really excited to share with you these 10 ways. They are extremely practical, they are extremely effective. So I can't wait for you to get going. I can't wait for you to start taking some steps to minimize your symptoms, to reduce your pain levels, to reduce your suffering, to increasing your energy levels, just by making sure that you are constantly cleaning your house in the sense of rejuvenating your immune cells and other cells of your body, and just by focusing on these 10 fundamental steps. So let's not wait anymore. If you have any questions, if you're watching this live, make sure that you comment, and I'll be sure to answer that. If you're watching this on replay, you can also ask your comments. Just put it in the comment below, and I'll make sure that I get back to you as well, either in the comment or in a live. So the first step that is, so first of the 10 steps that I would like you to focus on, when you're trying to rejuvenate your immune function, to build immune resilience, is to avoid overeating and late night eating, which means that having, and I'm going to end with that as well. Food is where we always start. In functional medicine, in my coaching practice, food is medicine. We believe and we know, we just don't believe, we have enough research to show that food is medicine. So that's where we always start. So avoiding overeating and avoiding late night eating, which is giving your body a chance to break down, digest the food, do the repair work that your body needs, produce the enzymes to actually repair the cells, is very important. But if you're snacking late at night, if you're sleeping late and then snacking because you're awake till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock once in a while, that's absolutely fine, right? Our body is extremely resilient. That's not a problem at all. It becomes a problem if it becomes your way of life. So that's the first thing that you need to sort of change. The second is to, we know that it's being physically active. We all lead such sedentary lifestyles. It's not really serving us. So making sure that you're moving your body at regular intervals. It's not about sitting for 7, 8, 10, 12 hours in the day and then going to the gym for 2 hours, or maybe hitting the gym over the weekend and working out like mad. That's not what I'm talking about. Your body was designed to move. It does not need to necessarily exercise all the time, but it was certainly designed to move, which means that you need to make sure that you're getting up, you are walking around. And of course, you are also raising your heart rate, which is your cardio, your strength. And as we grow older, our strength training actually is more important. It also helps in mitochondrial production, which means that it boosts your energy production, right? Which typically starts going down. So that's what happens when you are moving your body. So moving your body. So the first thing that I mentioned, the 10 ways to support your immune function. The first thing is avoiding overeating and late night eating. The second is staying physically active. These are very, very basic things, but please don't underestimate the power of these foundational aspects of health creation, which will help you to reduce your symptoms. And again, if you're joining me here, just say hi so that I can sort of see who's joined. Would be, and if you have any questions, make sure to put it in the comment section. The third thing that you can do is a nutrient dense diet, right? Again, of course, we know this, but it's at the cost of repeating myself. I'm again starting, I go back to the point that food is medicine. So nutrient dense diet is extremely important. Having all kinds of proteins, healthy fats, carbohydrates. I'm not getting into the specifics. That's not what this session is for today. And of course, the other thing that you need to understand is that there is no one right diet, right? The diet has to be customized for you. You have to figure out what is suiting your body at this point in time, and that's the diet which is right for you. So there is no one right diet, but at the end of the day, the nutrient, you have to focus on nutrient dense foods. I'm talking about, of course, 10 ways to support your immune function, not just boosting it. We are sort of moving away from just the traditional form, way of thinking about boosting your immune function. I am focusing more on rejuvenating our immune cells at the cellular level, right? That's what we need to look at. If you want to deal with, any kind of chronic illness symptoms, minimize it. The fourth is focusing on pre and probiotic foods for gut health, right? So I think you may have an understanding that our gut health is critical for our immune health. There is, I'm going to share a link below. I've written posts about it. I've talked about it earlier. So I'm not going to get deep into that topic, but that's simply because 70 to 80% of your immune system resides in your gut. So there is a direct correlation between your immune health and your gut health, which is why also the other reason why I focus on food so much. And pre and probiotic foods are extremely important. So you're basically feeding your gut microbiome. That's what you're doing. Actually, when you're putting food in your mouth, you have to think of it this way. I mean, and we joke about it that we are actually feeding the microbes. We're not eating for ourselves, right? So that's how it is. It's So when you are having food, make sure that you have enough fiber, prebiotic foods, which typically tend to, in fact, and I'll give you some examples, which tend to feed the microbiome, which feed the microbes in your gut and help them to produce energy, help to feed them things like applesauce. I mean, I was really surprised when I heard this, that applesauce is one of one of, and not apples, but making it into kind of an apple sauce. You can just stew it in the microwave or make it on the gas, and I've done it earlier, not lately. Applesauce or leek, onion. So there are many different prebiotic foods. And then you also have the probiotic foods, which help them to thrive. Probiotic foods are the fermented foods, are the whether it's the Indian fermented foods, dosa, idli, etc. Also, you have the sauerkraut, the kimchi. So any kind of fermented foods, naturally fermented foods, right? Not by adding vinegar per se. Those are extremely good for gut health. So I have mentioned number one is avoid overeating and late night eating. Number two is stay physically active. Number three is a nutrient dense diet. And number four is focusing on pre and probiotic food, both of them, right? Number five is having dinner early. It's important, which is why I have made it as a separate point, which means that you're keeping a 12 to 16 hours gap between the meal at night, preferably, and the meal the next day in the morning. It's not necessary that you have to keep 16 hours, but it's certainly important that you keep at least a 12 hours gap. We have different names for this, right? We call it intermittent fasting, etc. I am not so concerned about what we call it or what label. Yeah, hi Aarti. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, make sure, or any comments, anything that you want to share, drop in below. It's great to hear from you. So yeah, so getting back to the 12 to 16-hour fast. So we need that gap between these two meals, and preferably at night when we're asleep, because that's where the major repair work happens. That's where the major deep cleaning in our body happens. So your body needs that break to repair, to to repair the cells, to clean your body from whatever is damaged. So you need that gap. So again, making sure that you have at least a 12 hours gap, and maybe 16 hours or more, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. It depends on your hormonal balance. It depends on your life situation right now, your health, how your health is. So it's not so much about the fasting part, it's much more about keeping that gap, right? That's why I don't like going with any kind of labeling. I'm more focused on what is good for you, what is good for my client. The sixth one is a diet high in omega-3 foods, vitamin A and vitamin D. So in food, I have broken down into a few different categories simply because it is important, right? So omega-3 foods are typically fish, which are high in fat, healthy fat, the right kind of fat. If you are not getting that from fish, then you can get it from vegan sources like seaweed, to some extent flaxseed, but you don't get both the type, which is EPA and DHA, which is why I typically recommend that my clients take omega-3 supplements if they are if they are vegetarian or vegan. But otherwise, if you can, omega-3 is extremely important for cell membrane, for cell membrane function, and to deal with inflammation. And vitamin A and vitamin D, D from the sun, vitamin A from foods like eggs, fish to some extent, right? The seventh is avoiding unhealthy and processed foods. So while we are focusing on the right foods, we are also focusing on foods which are not really serving us. And in fact, one of the biggest problems that I find when we have processed foods, which we may not realize, right? We look at the sugar content and we say, okay, we are not going to have foods high in sugar. We just have processed foods which are not which are not laden with sugar. But what also comes with processed foods, if you're not careful, are the preservatives, the flavorings, a lot of the additives, which are actually in effect toxins, right? And that's a huge, huge problem. So if you're not careful, what's happening is with through your food, you're also allowing toxins to enter your body. So apart from the foods high in sugar, many of the processed foods are also very high. I'll give you a very high in toxins. I'll give you a classic example, something that we typically have because it's so convenient to make, which is microwave popcorn, right? So microwave popcorn is an extremely popular food item. Popcorn is very popular in my house with my kids too, and I make it. It's just that ever since several years ago, when I realized that this is really toxic, not because the corn is toxic, it's because the chemicals in the bag, the colorings, the flavorings, everything is artificial, right? And then when you expose it to high temperatures in the microwave, you have a toxic combination. So the one thing that I sort of have avoided for a long time, and I tell my family and my friends to avoid, is microwave popcorn. If you have to make popcorn, make it at home, from actual corn kernels. So just this is just one example that I'm giving you. So you might think that a food is less in sugar, so it should be fine. It's the corn is healthy, but all the things that come along with it may not be. So this is just one example. So avoiding unhealthy and processed foods, the more you can make from scratch, the better. So the first seven that I've mentioned till now is: one is avoid overeating and late night eating. The second was stay physically active. Third is a nutrient dense diet. Fourth is focus on pre and probiotics. Fifth is having dinner early and keep a 12 hours gap at least. Sixth is diet high in omega 3 fats, vitamin A and vitamin D. And seventh is avoid unhealthy and processed foods. The eighth is 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. Now, sleep is something that gets shortchanged. We focus on everything, we focus on diet, we focus on exercise, and we forget about sleep. Sleep, and I include rest in that also. So know when your body is tired. Pay attention to your body's signals, right? Make sure that you're getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep for the same reasons. Your body needs time to rejuvenate, to repair what is damaged, to create healthy new cells. And if you're not getting a minimum of 7 to 8 hours, it's okay if it doesn't happen once in a while, or one day here and 2 days there. And when we are younger, we're able to sort of push through this. When we're in college, when we have to have late nights, that's fine, but it's a huge problem as we grow older. So making sure that you get 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep is extremely important. Number nine is adequate protein intake. This is particularly true for for people who have a high carbohydrate diet, which is typically in our part of the world, which is a lot of rice and a lot of flour, but not getting enough protein, and especially if you're a vegetarian. So making sure that whether you're having an animal protein or plant protein, you're getting enough of that. So if it's animal protein, it's anything that you're having. Fish is the best thing to actually look at in terms of the nutrient the kind of nutrients that you get there. Or you can have protein in the case of plant proteins, whether I typically add a protein powder for some of my clients if they need to, or of course having a lot of lentils and pulses. So in a sense, having a adequate protein, right? That's something which is typically missing from many people's diets, because we typically are carbohydrate heavy, a lot of grains and flour. Again, feel free to ask any questions from what I've been discussing. If there's anything you want to share, make sure that you drop it in the comments, right? And number 10, a plant heavy diet, right? So there is something in plants that plants produce. It's called phytochemicals or phytonutrients. And what that does is it helps them, it is kind of an immune, it helps them to ward off their pests, and to keep them alive, right? So that's the plant's own protection mechanism. They're called phytonutrients, and they are found in all fruits and vegetables. They, whether it's your sulforaphane in broccoli, whether it's in berries. Berries are extremely high in these phytonutrients. So all the colors that you see. So typically, what I do is I make it simple for my clients, and I tell them to eat the colors of the rainbow, right? Rather than trying to focus on one plant at a time. Of course, I also customize diets depending on the person's need, but by and large, the way that you can look at it is to have the colors of the rainbow. So if you're having white in terms of more often, which is your potatoes, etc., you also need to add the blues and the blacks, which would be your typically the berries, the blackberry, the blueberry, which is something that we have every day in the smoothie. So having all the colors ensure that you are getting in all the phytonutrients and the phytochemicals, and that's really important. It's found exclusively in plants, so we can't produce it, so you can only get it from plants. So all of these 10 steps, and I'm going to just sort of summarize right now, are really effective. They might sound very simple, but extremely effective in helping you to support your immune system, make it more resilient, help it to regain some tolerance, lower the inflammation, which in turn helps your immune system to start tolerating some of the things that it is producing antibody towards, which is in essence in autoimmune disease, your own tissues, your own body's tissues, which is why you see lowering of symptoms of pain, higher energy production. So all of it happens. Like you're not targeting symptom by symptom. All you're doing is giving your body what it needs to start healing. You're supporting your body's unique healing process, which is what I teach in my coaching program. That's all you need to do. You need to understand what your body needs from you, and you need to give it what it needs, right? So let me just quickly go through the 10 steps just to summarize. One is avoid overeating and late night eating. Number two is stay physically active. Number three, focus on a nutrient dense diet. Number four, focus on pre and probiotics. Number five, have dinner early. Number six, have a diet high in omega 3 foods. Number seven, avoid unhealthy and processed foods. Number eight, make sure that you're getting 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. Number nine, adequate protein intake, ensure adequate protein intake. Number 10, focus on a plant heavy diet, right? And as Michael Pollan said, check out his books. He said that eat food, not too much, mostly plants. I think that about sums it up, sums what I've been trying to say today. So if you like what I have to say, make sure that you check out the link. If you're watching it on IGTV, it's on in the link in the bio. Otherwise, I'm sharing the link below. It's a free guide. It's a very comprehensive and carefully curated guide. It's called Autoimmune Disease 101, where I have put together a lot of excellent resources from the functional medicine world on autoimmune and other chronic illnesses. It's a collection of books, blogs, podcasts, and other resources. So to get you started. So you can sign up, you can click on that and get that, and I'll see you again soon.